So, as part of our understanding of the way the public finances of the country work, we know that government at any given point in time needs to drive the development agenda of the country. So, raising sufficient tax revenue to support development. But also, there are cases where the government has had to rely on granting of exemptions, right, to different private sector actors. And this is supposed to help them, drive investments that help unlock value, for the economy. So if you think of your extractive sector, for instance, you have, a number of tax handles in VAT, other sorts of customs and import levies that could become a barrier to somebody coming to invest in the country. Now, what has become increasingly clear, which has become a challenge for government and the economy as a whole, has been the volume of exemptions that have been granted over time, which increasingly has become a problem. In the last estimates, that ever came out, we were told that this is around 4.2 or 3 billion Ghana cedis per year. Now that's a lot of money if you compare that to the value of the economy. And we know sufficient records to show that could even be an underestimation. So for us, organizing this engagement off the back of some research work that had been done was to really examine the extent to which the current or the new tax exemptions law 2022 Act 1083 really addresses the challenges that Ghanaians and the government has had over time. And it started the conversation by looking at what our revenue projections have looked like over time, the gaps that existed, and then when Ghana compares itself to some other countries like Nigeria and the oil sector, for example, or Botswana and the mining sector. And in all cases, I think there's sufficient room for us to grow the revenues of the country, right? And so having understood that problem and the challenges that have come from Parliament, for instance, you have members of Parliament who have consistently lamented that even when they are granting exemptions, the request comes with a list of items, sometimes which are not even relevant, as far as the operations of that particular entity that they're granting exemptions is for. And so we organized this engagement to sort of explore the extent to which, as I did indicate, Act 1083 addresses these problems. And I think overwhelmingly the conclusions that have been come to from this discussion is that yes, there are some provisions to support the implementation of the exemptions regime. However, there are several significant weaknesses that have also been identified. Major one being the ability to monitor the exemptions themselves, right? So a company makes a request to a particular MDA, the Ministry of Finance justifies this in Cabinet and in Parliament, the exemption is approved. Who follows up to monitor to ensure that the exemptions that have been granted is actually generating the results that the country wanted, and whether or not they are not bringing back the items and selling them and ripping the country off. I think that is one major key takeaway from the engagement today. So I guess in terms of how the new law Act 1038 sort of improves the narrative before now, previously there were several, even in terms of exemptions, there were several exemptions that have been granted. Once they get approved in contracts, they never even go through Parliament now. Now the law requires that even if exemptions are granted in contract, when it's time for the exemptions to be applied, they have to go through Parliament for ratification. It may look like just a rubber stamp, but I think that to the extent that we can, as part of the discussions around the regulations, demand or even request that the regulations provide a list of items that needs to be submitted. I mean, a value for money analysis report, for instance, on each and every one of these exemptions will go a long way to improve the status quo than it was before. The question will really be the extent to which we've got the political will to commit to proper enforcement so people do not breach the law.